How's it going, folks? I'm Cody Campbell with High Ground Gaming. Today we are unboxing and reviewing the Redragon Opal GM27X5Q IPS monitor. I'm going to start by walking you through the specs, then I'll open it up, let you know what comes inside. After that, we'll go to the review portion where I'll give you my thoughts on it, and then we'll go to High Ground Gaming's final score. Stick around. So Redragon's pretty well known in the mouse and keyboard sphere, but they're not super well known for their monitors. They don't have a whole heck of a lot of them out there. So I'm excited to see how good the quality is, especially if they are priced appropriately. This one is a 27-inch flat IPS monitor. It has a 1440p resolution, a 165 Hz refresh rate, and a 1 millisecond response time. In terms of connectivity, it uses HDMI. I'm not sure if it has any DisplayPort outlets. We're gonna have to check that out when we open it up. That's about it for the specs though. Let's see what's inside. So it looks like on top of the packaging, we have the base stand right here. This looks to be the arm or the stand. Okay, we've got the plug, power brick, and then it looks like it actually comes with a DisplayPort cable, so that probably means that it does have DisplayPort, which is good news. We also have a little paperwork here. We have the user manual, and we have this little plate, which probably is going to go on the back of the monitor. We'll have to see when we take a look at it. Inside the styrofoam, we have the monitor itself. It's a pretty good looking monitor. You can see that there is 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch bezel going around the edge there. It's not perfect yet. Looks like that little plate's gonna go on the back. Let's attach it to the stand. It looks like on the underside we have 2 HDMI ports and a display port. Also a headphone jack, I believe, and the power plug. That's pretty much it. On the back, we just have some plastic buttons, clicky, just power, and it looks like some menu controls. That's about all I can tell just by looking at the outside of this guy though. So I'm gonna hook it up to my computer, play some games on it, and we'll be right back with the review portion. Don't go anywhere. So I've had some time to play around with the Redragon Opal, and I'm ready to talk about it. But first, like and subscribe if you haven't already. So let's start out like we usually do by talking about the build quality. And the build quality on this is pretty basic. It has a 1/4 inch bezel around the rim, as I mentioned, very thin frame made of black plastic. It has no USB ports, it has no built-in speakers, and it has no RGB. So it's very kind of just a bare bones essential design. Also, it's worth mentioning that the mount can rotate a little bit vertically, backward and forward, but it doesn't go up and down, and it doesn't rotate side to side. That's sort of to be expected from Redragon, since they are generally seen as sort of a budget brand. It would make sense that it's sort of a all thrills, no frills design. There shouldn't be a lot of those extra features, but if you're looking for those, this isn't really the one you're looking for. That said, overall, utilitarian construction, and there were no dead pixels or anything like that I noticed. Now let's move on to talking about the picture quality. Now this is a 1440p monitor, which is a good resolution for a 27-inch screen. A lot of people don't really realize that resolution gets worse as the screen gets bigger. So a 1080p monitor that's very, very small will look better than a 1080p, 55-inch television when you're looking closely at it, because it's the same number of pixels. They're just more stretched out on a larger screen. So that said, generally when you go to bigger screens, you want a higher resolution to keep the image looking really sharp. 27-inch 1440p is a pretty good balance. 1440p also makes sense as a resolution for a mid-tier monitor, since most people who are buying a mid-tier monitor also probably have a mid-tier GPU, and a mid-tier GPU can do 1440p with decent frame rates pretty well on most games, where pushing 4K, it would probably struggle. Since this is an IPS monitor, you can expect good viewing angles if you're not looking directly at the monitor. Also, it just has pretty good color overall and nice contrast right out of the box. I didn't really have to mess with the settings at all, and I already thought that the color accuracy on this monitor was pretty darn good. That said, the menu options on this are pretty basic. I'm not going to go into heavy detail on all the menu options that are here, but it has the basic ones, you know, color saturation, sharpness, that sort of thing. And there are a couple presets, but you can also set your own settings, but it's all very limited. There isn't a tremendous number of like extra features or anything like that. And there are no real gaming performance focused settings. Now let's move on to gaming performance. I tested this out by playing some Cyberpunk 2077 and I had a blast with it. This is really where this monitor shines. The colors in Night City were, as I mentioned before, just bright, vibrant, really, really good looking. I have a 4070 GPU, and that really was able to push that 165 hertz refresh rate to its limits, and everything looked really, really good. There were no issues with lag, stutter, no ghosting, none of that, no screen tearing. And I just never really had any issues at all visually with the game. 165 hertz and 1 millisecond response time obviously isn't top of the line anymore. There are 240 hertz monitors and even higher out there now, but honestly, for most gamers, 165 hertz is more than enough. If you're playing hyper competitive shooters and you're playing at 1080p and you're wanting to push the absolute limit of frame rates, then you're probably not going to want this monitor. This isn't the one that you're going for. This is a mid-tier sort of balanced monitor for people who want both high frame rates and really nice slick resolution at an affordable price. And I think it strikes that balance really, really nicely. That's pretty much all I have to say about the features though. Let's get down to the verdict. So there is a curved VA version of this monitor, but we are specifically reviewing the IPS flat screen version, and that one MSRPs at $269. That's pricey. I'm not gonna lie to you. This I had assumed was going to be sort of a budget option. It was going to be a more affordable version of high-end brand gaming monitor, but that's not really a more affordable price point. That's actually pretty directly competitive with the Asus TUF monitor that's got pretty similar specs. So that kind of creates a little bit of a dilemma, because while I do think that this is a highly functional monitor and that the price isn't completely unreasonable, I also think that there are probably monitors that do the same thing that this does, maybe a little bit better, at the exact same price. I think if you can find this on a really good sale, then that's going to be a great option, but as it stands, it's a little bit hard to recommend. So keeping all that in mind, we are giving this a 3.4 out of 5. It's not a bad monitor by any means. As I mentioned, I had a great time using it. I think it looks good, the visuals are nice, but it's not exactly feature packed, and to be honest, the build quality leaves a little something to be desired. The fact that it doesn't have any speakers or USB ports, or, I mean, RGBs, whatever, but any of that stuff, it just kind of all takes away from its overall quality, and the price doesn't really reflect that. If you can find it on a sale, if they drop the price, then I think it's a solid buy and you're perfectly safe. But why don't you go ahead and drop down into the comments and let us know what you think. Would you buy this monitor, or would you wait for a sale, or do you think you might just go for something else? While you're at it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Okay, everybody, thanks for watching. Happy gaming.